through. Good morning, Lake County. My name is Bruno Sabatier, and welcome to the show Better Know Your Candidate with John Brosnan. John, how are you today?
Good morning, Bruno. I'm good, thanks, I think.
And I'm not hearing John's microphone. Are we having an issue with mic 2? Or
No. Can you
there
hear
we
me
go. Now I can hear you. Perfect.
Good job.
And so, again, welcome to KPFZ 88.1 FM. It is a beautiful Monday morning, and today we're going to be speaking with John again from 9 to 10. John has a website. You can always contact him via the website, Brosnan, the number 4, district, the number 3.com. You can also get him on Facebook at Brosnan for District 3. And you can always call him personally also at 707-501-7157. Did I miss anything, John?
No, you got it all. Thanks, Bruno.
All right.
Well done.
And how was your weekend? Was it busy like it was last weekend?
It was exhaustingly busy, but I had a lot of fun, and I met a lot of new people, and went over to, don't ask me what I did Saturday, because I don't think I can remember, but I know what I did yesterday. I went down to, my day started at 6 o'clock in the morning, then I got everything together that I needed to get together, and went over to the Oaks for the Catfish weigh-in.
That's right.
Had a great time over there from 9:30 to 3:30 approximately, and met a lot of people, shook a lot of hands, and handed out a lot of cards, and listened to a lot of people, and they listened to me, and I found out that we have a lot of concerned, caring citizens in our community of District 3 who are really looking for and exciting to see a potential possible change coming their way, and so I'm glad to be a part of that change, you know.
And when you're discussing this with the concerned citizens, are you finding a lot of common ground on what the concerns are?
Oh, absolutely. The grounds that we're discussing are unity is number one, you know, having a platform, having all the townships, all the hamlets being able to have one voice united together by assembling like an Upper Lake where we have the town hall meetings once a month, and they're really receptive to the idea of that we can actually put together 7 to 11 hamlets, you know, if you want to include the rancherias if they want to participate. Mm-hmm. We can have 1 to 2 representatives either elected by the community or volunteered and approved by the community to be representative of that community. And then when there's an important decision at the Board of Supervisors and District 3 want to suggest or ask for these potential funds or changes to occur, when they look into the audience and they see 11 or 22 individual diverse group of people, they won't be wondering who these people are. They'll know that those people represent almost 13,000 voters in District 3 who are collectively united, who are ready to help level out this listing ship of Districts 2 and 3. So they're very excited about that, and I find that very promising, as well as mentioning to them that it's a perfect way to vet people into the position of the seat of supervisor so that it doesn't get stagnant with one person and then that person being enticed to take power and to, I won't say corrupt it, but to forget that the purpose of being in that seat is to help everybody, to be the representative of everybody, because it's difficult. You know, even on the campaign trail, I can see how things can get very, I don't know if the word convoluted is correct, but
obfuscated.
Yeah, it can be very difficult at times to remember that you're just a representative of all the people, not some of the people, and to do that fairly and squarely, I think it'd be good to rotate people in and out of that seat. So if these people of the communities are involved and their involvement is monthly and they have access directly to the supervisor for District 3, and when they show up, their voices is actually heard, these people can be, over the period of a 4-year time period, they can be literally vetted into a position of running for supervisor again. And we could have 6 people running or 8. It doesn't really matter because the people will be united and the voice will be heard. And that's really what I would like to see is like Districts 1, 5, and 4, you know, we're all struggling across the nation, but Districts 1, 5, and 4 are at the helm of this ship, and they're rising, and things are good, and we want to make this agro-tourist or agri-tourist and eco-tourist type of destination spot again, and I think that Districts 2 and 3 want to be a part of that, and I think this is one way to ensure that it will continue on.
And on one side, you're right that you would have the public be able to vet each upcoming candidate for the next Board of Supervisors election. However, on the other side, it builds experience for those people who are wanting to run rather than jumping into something that is very unknown territory.
That's right. That's right. My eyes have been open to a lot of things here in the community, and I've made friends with people that I normally would not mix with. They would normally not want to mix with me either.
And actually, one of the things that I appreciate about this is part of your platform, actually, to create the townships and the hamlets and creating representatives of each one of those. And what I like about it is it's an expansion of democracy. It's bringing people into the system to say, hey, you actually matter. And so while we're on that topic of expanding democracy, I just want to let everybody know that today is the last day to register to vote. There is a link on John Brosnan's website that you can go to, or you can go directly to the Secretary of State website and register from there. It's very simple, just a few key entries, and you will be registered and you will be able to vote for this June 3rd election. So please do so. It's very important that we all follow our civic duty and vote. I believe last week you went to a meet and greet for not meet and greet, I'm sorry. You have a meet and greet coming up tonight, correct?
Tonight, correct, in Spring Valley.
Do you want to give a brief description of what that will be?
Well, actually, before we go there, I was talking to a lot of people yesterday, a lot of them young people between 18 and 25 who haven't registered to vote, and I did give them my campaign business card and mentioned to them to go to the website at www.
Brosnan4district3.com. That's all right. You got a lot on your mind.
And I told them that they can. There's a button there that register to vote, and it takes about 7 to 8 minutes. And so I wasn't sure of the date and time. So now I know today is the last day, and I just want to repeat that again on the air for everybody who's listening. That we really need to get registered today if we want our voice to not only be heard but to count.
Yeah, and I just received an email this morning, I think from the Secretary of State, or maybe it was UC Davis that emailed me letting me know that today was the last day. I wasn't sure. I was counting back, but you never know where it starts.
Right. As far as that meet and greet tonight at the community center in Spring Valley, I'm just showing up with some cookies. They're going to provide some coffee and the questions, hopefully, about what's regards to what's happening in Spring Valley, what the needs are. I mean, the last time I was up there, the breakfast on Mother's Day, a lot of constituents or citizens of Spring Valley were talking about several items. One was an egress road that they wanted to have in their area to have a secondary means of egress so they don't have to get caught there by floods or fires or whatever. And also their lake that they're trying to figure out how they're going to restore, and also the speed limit. There was a lot of concern from several people that the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit within the city, in the living area, the residential area, they just felt that it was just, they didn't really understand why it went from 25 to 30. And so those are just some of the things, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more questions. And hopefully Denise and I have an appointment today to discuss some of those issues regarding not only Spring Valley, but Upper Lake and Lucerne as well.
The entire district.
Yeah, she's been very helpful with me lately in terms of being able to be available for me to talk with and to discuss with and to see where we're at currently with regards to, I guess, ending up in the direction that we all would like to see District 3 end up in.
Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling from what I've seen of her do at the Board of Supervisor level that she shares many similar ideas as what that you share with her on which direction things should be going.
I think we do have a definite similar background and a certain political viewpoint, and we do differ on administration of that, implementation of that viewpoint. But Denise has done a great job, and I would not be running in this campaign if Denise did not throw the towel in. I would just, let it continue to go down the path it's going down, because it is an arduous path. It is a long path. It's not going to be anything that's going to change instantly overnight. This is a process, and the process does require time, dedication, and commitment.
That's correct. That's correct. Nothing happens overnight. It definitely it's a sea change.
That's right.
So last week there was a few things that occurred for Measure L. I believe that last Monday you went to the town hall meeting for Measure L. Is this correct? Maybe it wasn't last Monday.
I went to the senior center to listen. Oh, that's right. Was it Monday night?
I don't remember. I think it was Monday.
I have to look on my calendar every day now to see what day it is and where I'm supposed to be. And
hopefully you didn't put two things in the same time.
Was it Monday or Wednesday? I can't remember.
Either way, it was last week, definitely.
Yeah. I attended that, and it was pretty much more of the same delivery by Scott DeLeon and trying to get the audience to come up and ask questions and participate in it. Obviously, they want Measure L to move forward. I support Measure L. The language of Measure L, a lot of people can read it. There's like 6 implementation points. I think the money is the language spells it out pretty good where it's going to go, but there are people concerned that, example, for the first $1 million for the gates for the public ramps, what happens after they, finish the public ramps? Where is that money going? And there's a constant, I guess, pulse or concern of that they don't trust the local government.
And that seems to be a consistent trend in Lake County and maybe even outside of that.
Right.
And I know that last Saturday also there was a debate on KPFZ on Ron Green's Philadelphia Lawyer Show between Victoria Brandon, who I'm not sure if she was representing the Sierra Club, but I know that she is part of the Sierra Club who supports Measure L, and with I believe just a local activist resident, Mike Dunlap, who stands for the no on L. And it was an interesting debate. And I'm wondering if you, some of the points against the measure itself, for instance, one of them is the ability to protect the lake from the quagga mussels. And I'll just say my own personal opinion on that. If we can't stop growers from growing marijuana when it's illegal, how are we going to stop quaggas from coming if it's illegal for your boat to go into the lake? Is that still something that we believe a law can really change that? Do you think that the plan that's put on the ballot, on the measure itself, is secure enough to really protect our lake?
Well, again, Bruno, I think it goes back to the contention of whether or not we are all going to be perfectly safe from harm's way of just life in general. The natural selection, the law of survival, right? I mean, it's the stronger survives, and there is no one matrix that anyone can implement or put in place that's going to protect us from just being on this planet. So I think really what it speaks to, the measure speaks to, are 2 things. One is funding. How do we get funding? How do we get the people here in this county to participate in that funding? With that argument comes, why should the people of this county participate in that? Why doesn't the federal or the state level? Why doesn't the state government come in here? Why isn't the BLM and the National Forestry, who have a large portion of this, come in here? So I really don't have an answer to that question. I really don't know whether or not there are fundings available. There's been talk of grants. There's talks of shared partnership regarding the BLM and the National Forest. And I guess what I'm getting at is the two prongs are funding, which is money, and then the other one is mitigation. So I think Measure L is just simply pointing out mitigating circumstances that we can implement so that we can do the very best we can to protect ourselves from the invading quagga and zebra mussel. And also with all the other implementation points, so we can go to the source points and we can mitigate there. We can seed the sides of the creeks. We can put wattles and silt fencing. We can ask the owners of those acreage that own land around those areas to have their cattle 200-300 feet back or 100 feet back, so there isn't all that going into the creek. And people that do grow cannabis, that they have to not draw from the creek and have to watch what they're putting in their plants and their gardens. And so it's really about, I think Measure L really essentially is about everyone recognizing that A, we need funding, B, that we need people we can trust with that funding, and C, that it's about mitigation, not annihilation of the quagga mussels. We're not going to go out and kill quagga mussels. We're going to protect ourselves from the invasiveness of them. And there's no guarantees. So I guess we can mitigate and hope for the best and hope that everybody participates in this and takes it seriously.
Yeah, and that's truly how it would work the best, is if everybody actually takes part into the saving the lake.
Right.
Please call. We are definitely appreciate all callers that call into our show, 263-3435. Again, you're listening to Better Know Your Candidate with John Brosnan. This is KPFZ 88.1 FM. And just a quick, simple reminder, please remember that the opinions expressed on this or any other KPFZ program are the opinions of the speaker and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of KPFZ LCCR, its members, staff, or supporters. These are the opinions, views of the speaker only. We have a caller. Caller, you're on the air. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Hey,
Good morning.
Morning. I heard you talking about the possibility of getting grant funding from either the state or the federal government to help with the mussel program.
Hi, good morning, Phil. I said that I wasn't sure, that I heard other people that I've been talking to on the campaign trail mentioning that they felt that there might be possible grants, or why isn't the federal government participating, and why should the taxpayers of Lake County be responsible for cleaning up this lake when... So that's basically...
Well, you know that the state has, for the last year, been collecting an $8 a year fee from your boater registration,
Right.
specifically for the mussel program.
Mhm.
And this month, they are begun to accept applications from whoever. It doesn't even have to be a government entity, to get part of that $7 million that they'll be distributing this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the last I've heard, in fact, I could state this with absolute certainty, Lake County has not applied for any of that $7 million that's available that will be handed out here in the next few months.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a first-come, first-served deal.
Wow.
And
That doesn't
and
sound
you know,
right.
And do you know why they haven't applied for that?
No, I don't.
Because they want to be able to claim that they don't have any money from, they have no other source of funding a mussel program here other than Measure L. If people find out that the county is getting money from the state for a mussel program, they'll be less inclined to vote for Measure L, because they'll say, hey, well, what am I paying that $8 a year on my boat registration for? We get none of that?
Right.
We are the highest risk lake in the entire state of California for getting the mussel.
Is that, do you think that being rated as the highest risk rated lake in the state of California would put us up at the head of the line if we did put an application in, Phil, for that money? A portion of it?
We should, because I've spoken with Robin Turigan, who is the director of the Mussel Fee Grant Program. She works for the California Department of Boating and Waterways,
Mm-hmm.
and she has said that she's completely familiar with our situation up here in Lake County.
Mm-hmm.
She knows it inside and out. She understands that due to the extremely high volume of boat traffic, that we have, a higher risk of getting the mussel in here than any other lake in the state.
Mm.
And so, there's nothing that would keep us from getting a substantial portion of that funding. And that funding will be available theoretically forever,
Wow.
on an annual basis.
So of the $7 million and the stickers, we've been paying $8 to. I know I had to pay for my boat. Of that $7 million, how many lakes are in the state of California that would be applying for that? I wonder, and what would the breakdown be percentage-wise of that $7 million if we broke it all down systematically and determined, even if we were at the top of the list? I wonder how they would divide that money up in accordance with the water mass or the.
Well, it's really, if you look at our situation, where what the effect of getting the quagga in here would be a lot more significant than it would be in a lot of the smaller lakes,
Mm-hmm.
where people aren't using them for municipal water supplies, because that's where the
Right.
real expense would come in if the quagga got into the lake. Keeping them out of the water systems,
Right.
that would be tremendously expensive. The other thing is, if in a smaller lake, because a lot of our smaller lakes are actually reservoirs, you can actually get rid of the quagga by simply draining the reservoir.
Right.
That's the only way they've ever eliminated the quagga or zebra mussels from any lake, is to simply drain it.
Right,
So
drain
you
it
have
out.
that option. You don't have that option here in Clear Lake. It's impossible to drain it.
Right.
The other thing is, down south, you have to remember that most of the lakes down there are already infested. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not going to be in line for that funding. Then the other thing is, most lakes don't have a whole lot of boat traffic like we do. Because the bass fishing and the
Catfish,
wakeboarding
right,
and
yeah.
all that.
Mhm.
Again, we're right at the top of the list priority-wise because of that tremendous volume of boat traffic we have here. Because that's how the muscle gets moved around, by
Right.
boats.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what the supervisors are doing is they are neglecting their responsibility to get our fair share of that state funding. And, I've heard those guys, both the board members and staff members, complain for years and years, oh, the federal government isn't helping us with this problem. Oh, the state government isn't helping us with that problem. Well, you know what? Right now the money is available, and they aren't even applying for it because they would rather that the mostly low-income residents of Lake County pay the majority of this new sales tax, which they don't even have a clear plan for spending, instead of just going to the state and asking for our fair share of money that we've already paid in this new fee. So it's like it's an outrageous way of deceiving the voters and the taxpayers.
Right. I hear your point, Phil. I have a question. Is there any requirements to apply for this? I mean, wouldn't it not be considered too late to apply for it now? I mean, can't we just do both?
No, they've just started taking the applications for it just this month.
So there's nothing stopping us to apply for it, regardless of Measure
You
L
can
or not.
apply for it.
Yeah.
If you can fill out the form, you can apply for it yourself. All you have to do is have a plan and submit it.
Right.
That's it.
You should
know
probably
what?
find
You
the
know what?
website, Phil.
Scott DeLeon knows this.
Uh-huh.
And he has not submitted a plan because he knows the Board of Supervisors don't want to see a plan before the election.
That's
now,
interesting.
after the election, if Measure L doesn't pass, then, they'll submit an application then. But it's completely negligent and dishonest the way they are handling this because they know that money's available and they aren't even trying to get it.
Well, it's funny. I'm sitting here on my desktop here looking at my AOL mail, and right on the right-hand side there's an ad saying vote yes on Measure L. It's interesting how they...
Yeah, and you know who's paying for that?
I have no idea.
The National Association of Realtors. They are the primary funders of the Measure L campaign. They're not even a Lake County-based organization, and they are a special interest group with a direct vested interest in this. And they're only concerned, they don't care about the lake. What they care about is the commissions of real estate agents.
Well, Phil, that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother subject of which I'm sure you and I could both tear apart. But right now, I think that the questions I think the listening audience would have is that should we get a website? Do you know of a website to go to look at this information for the people who are listening that can go look at it? And B, why don't we ask our Board of Supervisors or Scott DeLeon, in fact, why this isn't happening? Perhaps if Scott's listening to the radio, he can call in and tell us why.
Well, you can go to the Department of Boating and Waterways website, go to the Frequently Asked Questions page there, and scroll down to the bottom, and you can get the contact information from the woman I mentioned there that was running the program. You can contact her directly by phone or email, and you can get all this information that I've just told you yourself, and find out any more details you need to know about it.
Why don't you tell me that site again?
California Department of Boating and Waterways. And I would suggest going to the Frequently Asked Questions page because that's got the best contact information on it.
Okay, great. I hope the listening audiences are listening to that and take it down, California Department of Boating and Waterways, and go to the Frequently Asked Questions and find out what's happening. And if we have a place to put our 2 cents in, we can do that as well. And
well, people should be doing that with our Board of Supervisors and asking them why they aren't getting our share of that money.
Certainly they should be posing that question to the board, and who should then therefore have Scott being able to answer that question. And even if we did get a percentage of that $7 million, do you have any idea what percentage that would be?
No, but like I say, it's basically a first come, first served deal.
Right.
So
So there's really no way of knowing. So I mean, I hear what you're saying, Phil, and I am in agreement with you that that's an avenue that we should definitely look into. However, I still feel that Measure L is not an entirely unnecessary undue hardship. Although a 0.25% probably would have been better, but they elected not to do a 0.25%, which would have been 1.2 million, which probably would have been a good start, and we could have added to that with these type of programs to assist it and to get additional funding and grants from the feds and the state. So I think we're on the right path. Maybe we're not perfect, but we're heading down the right road, and let's just see how it goes. And you know what? It's up to the voter, Phil, right? I mean, when I'm on this campaign trail, they ask me what my position is on Measure L and Measure N, and I tell them, that that's not my platform. I tell them how I'm voting. I tell them why I'm voting, but I also tell them, listen, you have a voice of your own. You need to make your own decisions. You need to gather together with your township and your community, and you need to decide what you guys think is the best thing to do, because it is a voter measure. It's not something that the Board of Supervisors implements or forces people to endure. So I think that your points are well taken, Phil, and I hope the listening audiences are listening and they will consider all the avenues of how we could utilize and receive monies to help us turn this lake around and to get a cleaner lake and basically to make it a desirable place for everyone to come and spend some time and just build up this whole lake so we can all get good jobs and we can all have a better lifestyle here.
Well, people need to ask the questions.
That's
not
right.
Just rely on the propaganda from the realtors.
That's right, Phil.
All right. Bye.
Yep.
And I would even add to that and say that not only do you need to ask the questions, but if you have concerns, you need to make sure and contact your Board of Supervisor from your district or all of the districts if you'd like, and make sure to make that concern be heard, or go to the Board of Supervisors meetings and stand up and make your concerns be heard.
Well, that's precisely why I was talking, Phil. Bruno. I needed some coffee. I didn't have my coffee this morning, but that's precisely why I was talking about having the hamlets and the townships have their own town hall meetings and their own representatives. If we had one or two representatives from each hamlet, that's anywhere from 11 to 22 people that have actually access to all the voices in those hamlets who have concerns, just like the one Phil's talking about, and they can bring it to the board, and they're not going to be looked upon as just some whatever. We're a very diverse community, so you know how they are up there. Sometimes they look at the members and they judge them by their appearance, and if this person walks in, regardless of race, color, creed, whatever they look like or sound like, they know that person or those 10 people represent 13,000 people who have trusted in them. And that's what the problem is. There's been a loss of trust in our body of government. So this is a way of rebuilding the foundation, from the grassroots up. And that's the only way we're going to get this thing by hand. Could you imagine eventually having a whole new board rotating, everybody in every district looking at this potential possibility of vetting people and vetting out so the personalities leave but the principles stay intact? Nothing could sink this ship then, because we wouldn't have the personality element involved, and we wouldn't have that desire to run 15, 16, 18, 20 years where, nobody could sit in that position of this magnitude of power without alleviating one way or the other. But if we have a consistent group of people that are vetted annually and that go into the seat every 4 years, we have a better chance of this becoming, I think, a more stable ship and more stable ground. So we can actually grow in a meaningful way, grow in a way where we're not just, putting in big box stores. We could grow in a way where everybody's benefiting from it. We have another caller.
Yeah, less ego, more representation.
Right.
Caller, you're on the air. How are you? Caller, are you still there? Oh, looks like we lost our caller.
Oh, well. Call back, please. 263-3435. All of your calls are very much appreciated, because I'm sure you guys get sick of listening to Bruno and I just chat away here, and we do appreciate your input, such as Phil's call. So please call back and let us know what you're thinking.
And I'm sure that Phil might call back after my comment here. I thought it was interesting during the debate on Ron Green's show, which, by the way, will be replayed after our show. So today at 10 a.m., you can listen to that debate that we're speaking of right now. I lost it online on Saturday. The online seemed to have crashed. But anyways, one of the interesting things that Phil brought up was that the idea of using vector control to deal with the quagga mussels. Supposedly, vector control has money on hand to be able to try and deal with that. It's whether or not the law specifies that quagga mussels is a vector issue.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it's along the lines of you wanting to change the idea of what democracy means. It doesn't mean that you just have to come and vote every 4 years. You can actually participate every month at a meeting that makes something important, makes your voice be heard. We can also change what the definitions can, because they're made by human beings in the first place. They're voted on to be approved and set in stone, but that doesn't mean that we can't change it.
That's right.
And so I thought it was an interesting point on creating a new avenue of who else can help us with the idea of quagga mussels. It doesn't have to be the state, which would be nice. It doesn't have to be the federal, which would be nice, but we can also still have something that's already here.
Well, it's a great idea because we get to not only do all those things or participate in all those things that you're talking about, Bruno, but we also get to learn, which I think is incredibly valuable and very difficult to learn, and that is the language of the body of the government. So if, when we come out of nowhere like myself, just a carpenter and trying to introduce myself into this campaign and in this race and then sitting in the supervisory board meetings there, I don't know how many months I sat there for 4 or 5 months every Tuesday until I got a bigger construction job going and I had to pull away. But, learning the language, it's a whole nother language. And by having people involved on a daily basis, a monthly basis with the community, we're going to stop right here and take that call because we don't want to lose that call.
Caller, you're on the air. How are you?
Maybe that's what happened.
You're not coming through very well, caller. You can try again when you have a better connection.
I think saying you're not coming through very well is an understatement. It sounded like maybe you were... I don't know. What language was that?
It was underwater static.
Sound like Flipper having a hard time.
Please call back when you get a better connection. We'd appreciate your phone call.
But that's what I was talking about. It's funny too that the language was the topic, and there we go. It's a good example of not speaking the language we can't understand. But there is a language. There's a caller. You're on the air.
Well, thank you so much. This is Bonnie in Lucerne.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi. How you doing, folks?
Good.
I really do like your ideas of the expanded government because we have a top-heavy government that is totally unresponsive to the people, totally. And that is my disgust with this county at this point. And unless we can do something to change it almost immediately, I'm out of here.
Well, that's the thing, Bonnie. I understand what you're saying, and you're 100% correct. But one of the byproducts of not having communities involved like this with their own town hall meetings and other people talking with each other and vetting each other and introducing the language, what comes about as a result of the lack of that, Bonnie, is frustration. And you are a good example.
That out of me.
Exactly. You're a good example of what the end result is you get more frustrated, therefore we get more upset. We show up at the supervisory board's meeting and we get triggered and we start responding in an inappropriate manner for that environment. The emotion's very appropriate, but the environment in which we're speaking, it's not appropriate, and somehow we lose our validity. We don't seem to be as valid when we're emotionally discharging all this frustration. So I think that you're really right on when you say we need to have, like over in Lucerne there. It'd be a great place to have one of our town halls set up. I know that Upper Lake has one, and Lucerne should have one, and Nice and Spring Valley, and that way your voice can be heard daily there if you want. And then by the time we come to the boardroom, and by the time the issues are being discussed and voted upon, we are all organized. All of our anger is out. Exactly. We can speak our mind, and we can speak the language to make our point get across.
What I would like to suggest is that we are bogged down in the mire of today. And now looking at the 2050, which is where my mind is, I see this place to 2050. And I see it's going to be a wonderful place. It's going to be Silicon Valley done right. We're going to have technology happening up here. We're going to have industry like crazy. It's going to be a wonderful place to live if we plan it right. If we don't have a bunch of I'm trying to say something that's not obscene about to describe the board. I mean,
we appreciate that.
Yeah, we all appreciate that, Bonnie.
I'm totally disgusted with the board. I wouldn't vote for Denise if she ran again. I believe that she threw in the towel.
Well, in all fairness to Denise, there is a certain personalities that are on that board, and there's certain way of doing things here for a long time. And, who knows? She put her 8 years in, and maybe she just decided that maybe she just decided that it was time for her to, to create a spiritual existence for her. And one of maybe I think she's doing stuff online, and so she has creativity, and
Well, she
business
has life
investments.
elsewhere, which others of us can have, but we're presented an opportunity in this place that's just muck and mire, and we're bogged down in crap, and we're not able to achieve our goals and our dreams.
Right. Well, we're working on it.
It's
We're
really
getting
it's
there.
really obscene.
Mhm. It is. It's kind of discouraging, and that's where a lot of the disparity comes here. There's, like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I am in regards to voting. It's like 50% of the registered voters don't vote. Of that 50% that don't vote, a good 20% are getting jobs that are paying them over $40,000 a year. They have pensions, they have medical and dental, and they just simply tell me they don't think their voice counts. So this
I've
is.
looked at this from two different perspectives. I've been up here. I've operated in elections as an inspector for Sacramento County for 12 years, and for up here for 8 years until I got good old boy out of the operating an election bureau. Matter of fact, I came to Lucerne and I had Jim Slotts come in, and he challenged my authority to be there.
No, I know you've had some. Yeah, I know you've had some political background with regards to polling and registration and.
Right, but this time around, I've been more of an activist and trying to go for the issues I am concerned about. The Andre Ross, the no one in, actually I'm going no one L.
You're going to do what?
I'm going to go no one L.
Okay, well, good. That's your right. You're entitled to vote the way you best think represents you and the community around you and serves the community. So my hat's off to anybody who gets up, who reads the measures, who takes the time to vote, as that's what we're supposed to do, and then the population will speak. The populace will say, hey, this is what we want, and
I
we
frankly have to believe that the board will not be responsible with whatever funds they get, and that they haven't been responsible with whatever they've done so far. It's just every time I've been down there, it's been a total twilight zone.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but for me personally, I can't pinpoint. Phil seems to be able to pinpoint these things, and Mike Dunlap and Betsy Kahn, they all, and I, it's not that I disagree with the board or them. I'm trying to look for the common ground. I'm trying to look for where is it that we can work together. It's easy to tear people apart, and we're all.
Will we work together? I think is more the thing. Will we work together?
Well, that's the whole deal. How we have to learn how to minimize our negative inventory taking of people and let it pass through some sort of filter before we react to it or respond to it. We just have to look at, it's like we have to see beyond it's like we have to see the being and not the possessions. And that seems to be what's happening. I get really tired on these trails. I come home last night between 9:30 and 10, and I'm actually still putting up signs on places that I've gotten permission earlier that day, and I get so wiggy in my mind. I feel like I'm stoned or something. I don't indulge in that. And
you're being blindsided every minute when you're out there on the campaign trail. I know you are.
What's happening is that I get these real, for me, very positive insights. They're almost a sense of freeing. It's like I have never been in a situation where I really looked at another human being with a degree of, I don't know how to say this without sounding superficial, but I'll run the risk. I have never looked at another human being. I could dismiss them. But running for this district, everybody's vote counts. I cannot dismiss them.
Right.
And I found myself having to look at that aspect of my character. Number one, how disingenuine have I been my whole life? But B, can I look at this person? And I told you about this, Bonnie, a couple of weeks ago. There's been a weird transformation that takes place with me. I now look at every human being, every single human being, because they were a vote that mattered for me to win this race. But all of a sudden, what took over precedence was this was a human being. This was a real live human being.
The
That's why you
conscious
can't treat it like a simple sale or something.
Well, exactly. And then I realized that we have to see the being. I cannot judge anybody by age, race, color, creed, sexual orientation, weight, skinny, thin, fat, medium, muscle builder, tattoos. I realize that if I am to succeed, if I am to grow from this experience, win or lose or draw, I have to look beyond those things. And so what I came up with last night is that, the bottom line for me in my life, and this pertains to going into the supervisory boardroom meetings, I have to see the being and not the possessions. It's the possessions that taint and change the way that we react and respond to people because they're taking more than their fair share. Where's ours? You know, there's an old saying I used to live by, my wits by activism, and that was the rich want more and the poor just wants some. You know, and
there you go.
and that's the way it is. You know, and possessions can overtake us if we're not careful. I mean, we have to.
That can actually work, though.
I believe it works for me. I'm having a wonderful experience here. Otherwise, you know, I never would have made it this far. You know, I don't have a whole campaign, a team of people holding me up, propping me up, and attaboy, get in there, and don't worry about that one person. I mean, I could go knock on 10 doors, and only takes one person to say something negative, and I'm all over the place telling myself, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, you know. And then I realize, wow, that was just one person, John. You know, you got to see the being.
You still got to listen to that one person, though.
You got to see the being in everybody. Everybody's
Exactly.
voice counts. We got a call on the other line, Bonnie.
Thank you so much, but it's great. It's been a great talk. And one quick little thing.
Sure.
We're the sixth. California would be the sixth largest country in the world.
Is the
and
what?
we're the fourth. California would be the sixth largest country in the world.
Yeah.
If we were a separate country. And we're the poorest of among 50 counties in the entire state or the entire.
Yeah, California is, I think, the richest of the 5 countries economically, and that we are the poorest county in that body of wealth.
Exactly. You know, how much do you have to work to do that?
I don't know, Bonnie, but we're going to try and change that, aren't we?
That's an accomplishment, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not going to go there with you, Bonnie, this morning. It's a long road, that one. We have another caller on the line, though, Bonnie.
Thank you so much, John.
All right.
Caller, you're on the air. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Dallas.
I know, Dallas.
Hi.
I recognize that lovely voice.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How
what
about you?
an exciting campaign season this has been, huh?
Oh, boy.
Wow.
I'll tell you.
If we could continue this enthusiasm after the election, man, we could get so much done.
Well, I know that I will. I have met, like I said, so many people connected with James over there at the ceremony and the breakfast at the Oddfellows Hall here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did Saturday. Now I remember.
That's right.
And
that was a blur, wasn't it?
Oh my God, it was a great event. I really resonated with that gentleman that talked about being out there at the Sacred Rock by himself, talking to the Creator and playing some music, and a blue-bellied lizard coming up, and all of a sudden, I mean, it really touched me because that's when I touched.
That's a powerful.
That is unbelievably
ceremony
powerful.
that happens every year. That is amazing. I know.
But just with yourself, the
times.
individual and the Creator, and then watching the sentient beings all come around, that's a very bizarre experience. And so anyway,
it's just one example of how special our county is. You know how special
county.
this place is. Yeah. Gosh, so many things that I would like to talk about. I mean, I guess the first thing I would like to say is that I'm so happy that there is a live program on KPFZ at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. I mean, we haven't had a live program at that prime time for a long time. So it's
I'm really
nice
going to miss it. I'll tell you that.
You know,
I'm really enjoying it. I
know that there's a live person at the mic there.
Yeah.
You know, that's really cool. And secondly, it's just been a wonderful opportunity, a forum to talk about all these issues. And like I said, an election season is such a great time for people to learn a little bit about what's going on and about, you know, our government and
very stimulating time.
Yeah. I wanted to say I really like your idea, and yours is, you know, you're not the only one that has this idea, I don't think. I mean, Denise was, you know, campaigning on this platform in 2006 was the town hall idea.
Oh,
you know,
really?
That we, because in District 3 it's essential because it's such a large district.
Right.
Huge.
The largest landmass of all 5 districts, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's all public land mostly, though.
That's right.
It's not populated.
But the way it's set up, it's like the corridor, 28, 30-mile corridor.
It's pretty important, I think. District 3 is pretty important.
Because they don't have the same situation with Districts 5, 1, 2, and 4 either. We have this like a long string of little hamlets that need. It's a perfect geographical design for this to implement itself, to work where it wouldn't work maybe in the other districts as well. Here it's so easily defined by looking at the geographical locations of everything.
Right, exactly. Anyway, I really like the town hall idea. I think that it's essential that we have some kind of a format for each community to be represented somehow.
And
I don't think that one person on that board of supervisors could really represent, you know, fully.
No, they cannot.
Each hamlet, like you call it. So I think that each of the supervisors, I mean, each of the candidates running, I think that would probably be a good
Absolutely.
plan to implement no matter what.
Also, the idea of rotating out every 4 years, because we can rotate out the personality and continue the principle moving forward. So it'd be like a constant flushing. It'd be like the wetlands, filtering.
I kind of agree with you, and I kind of don't. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the term limits. And there's pluses and minuses to that. But continuing along the line of this town hall idea, I think I mentioned, early on in the campaign that, all of you candidates bring such a variety of skills to the fore. I was mentioning that, I forget on which show, but you and Mark Courier and Jim Steele and Herb Gura and Jim Brown, every single one of you have like different skill sets to bring.
Which is the top of the totem pole of that list you just measured there? I'm trying to figure out, do we turn that upside down or right side up? Or
Pardon me?
It's a joke. What is the top of the totem pole on that list of names? Me, Mark Courier, Steele, Herb Gura.
Well, I don't think there is.
I think you forgot one. You
forgot
one. You forgot Marvin Butler. Marvin Butler. Right.
Well, I could pretty much name some of the skill sets that at least I'm aware of, and there's probably other things that I'm not aware of. But I mean, Marvin Butler served on the Planning Commission for many years, so he's going to be pretty savvy on a lot of things.
Right.
So he brings that.
I couldn't agree more.
Jim Steele, it's pretty much a no-brainer. He's a man of science. He's got a lot of good knowledge and background. Herb Gura, he's been serving on a school board for 20 years. He knows how the game works.
He certainly does.
And he's got legal background, so
Yes,
he's
he
got all
does.
kinds of skills to bring to the fore. Mark Courier has been doing the big fight out in Spring Valley, and he's got the water. He's been really grappling with some severe water situations.
I think there's a reservoir over there, wasn't
emergency
he?
matters and things. So,
Wasn't he working on a reservoir or something over there?
I'm not totally clear on all the details. He'd be able to talk to that issue better. But and then of course I feel like you have a pretty good savvy about maybe construction and about business and about those matters. You'd bring those.
Do you know my academic
skills,
background? Do you know my academic background, Dallas?
I'm sure you're about to tell us. Go ahead.
No. I'm just wondering if you know if you know all of our academic backgrounds.
No, I don't have the detail on everybody, but I have some sense, like I said, of the skills that you're all bringing, and it's wonderful. And then, of course, without saying, Jim Brown, he's bringing the whole wisdom of his whole tribes and his ancestors, and a knowledge about this county that most of us don't really have a good grasp on.
Well, we certainly haven't
you
been.
felt it. You got a little sense of that, a little feeling of that when you went to the Bloody Island ceremony on Saturday morning.
Well, that's why I was suggesting that we have about 7 or 8 hamlets, depending if you include Bachelor Valley. But if you include the 3 tribes or the reservations, that makes it it's anywhere from 10 to 11. So I think it's all inclusive. It should be an all inclusive.
Oh, hamlets.
Yeah. Well, if you include the 3 what do they call them? Rancherias.
Tribes.
But the thing is that. If you include the rancherias or the tribes, we have an all-inclusive and non-exclusive representation of the inhabitants of the District 3. So I believe you're right. You're right on target. And for me, there's no way that I could sit back after June 3rd, whether I come in the primary or not, and just go back to what I was doing. It's impossible. I am fully engaged now with the community.
Well, that leads into what I wanted to ask,
I
and
know,
that is, I
I
hope that every single candidate that's running will make a commitment to continue to, utilize their skill set to help in whatever areas we need help in, whether or not they get elected.
Well, I think, that remains to be seen, and I think that will really demonstrate the purpose and the reason why the candidates were running in the first place, because we will continue to make this program a positive program only, and we will not discuss things that are potentially...
Government by the people, it takes the people, not just a representative sitting up there on high making all the decisions.
My dad used to always say, we'll just wait and see, son. And June 4th, we'll see who's really been authentically and genuinely involved and concerned about this district and wants to see it come to fruition.
I think everybody's genuinely concerned, John. I think everybody is, and that's another refreshing thing about this campaign is that people do seem to be genuinely interested in doing the right thing.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
I would like to make a quick announcement on the air, if I could.
Oh, let me guess.
The Green Party of Lake County just endorsed James Brown. for
Oh, that's
District
good.
3.
Congratulations, James.
And then the State Green Party will follow suit and endorse him as well.
That's wonderful
Now that our
news.
local chapter
Good.
has endorsed him. So
That's great.
So bravo to James Brown.
Absolutely.
And go ahead on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, John. Thanks for the show.
You're welcome, Dallas.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for the call, Dallas. One of the things that I wanted to go back on was Bonnie, the previous caller, I believe, spoke about the Board of Supervisors aren't listening. And I almost want to say the opposite. They are listening to the people who know how to organize and send a message to them. And I feel that the rest, and you also mentioned those that are disenfranchised, those who are not registered to vote, don't have that same ability to be able to send that strong message to a Board of Supervisors. And it takes that grassroots movement, like you're speaking of the Hamlet representations, to be able to grow in the power of that message and organize it in such a way so that when it's sent to the Board of Supervisors, it's felt just as strong. It's kind of like the people versus corporations. The corporations have their organization down to a T, but that doesn't mean that the people can't organize in order to be the same equal voice, or if not even more powerful.
I believe so. I believe that to be true, Bruno. That once we create a system where people can actually get involved. Oh, another caller. Let's go there.
Caller, you're on the air. How are you?
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm just double dipping because I forgot to make an important announcement.
We were waiting for you to call back, Dallas. You know.
Well, just really quickly, today, just to let everybody out there know, all the listeners to know, today is the last day to register to vote.
Yes.
In the June election, in the primary election.
That's
so
correct.
You've got to get your forms into the registrar's office by 5 p.m. if you want to vote on June 3rd.
Or go online, right?
Yes.
Go on www.brosnan4district3.com, and you can press the button that says register to vote today, or you can go on where, Bruno?
The Secretary of State website, and you can register to vote in less than 10 minutes.
I'll be darned. All these technical things.
Gotta love forward progress.
If you don't have a computer, just call Dallas, 275-9608. I've got some registration forms. Let me know where you are. I'll come to you.
Fantastic. Now that's what I call a concern. That's a concerned citizen.
9608. How's that?
Okay. 275-9608. 275-9608. Call Dallas. She will come out to your house with registration forms. Don't be late. Today's the last day.
Today's the last day.
And I'm sure she'll help you file or fill out the form, right?
The affidavit. That's it. Okay.
All
Bye.
right. Thanks, Dallas.
No, and that's where I was going with that message is we need to register to vote. We need to participate because it's all about organizing your message in order for it to be heard properly.
It really is, Bruno. And you know what? I'm very excited to be a part of this event. You know, we have 15 days.
15 days exactly
left. And so for those of us who've been procrastinators, we really need to take wind of this and listen that this is the last day. Everybody out there, please get to your laptops or get down to your voter registrar office and fill out that form and send it in, because this is a very, very important time and a very exciting time for this district and this county. And there's a lot of things on the table. Things are changing here. You know, we have a change taking place, you know, and there's some positive, I think, avenues and venues that are being presented for us to be a participant in.
And if I may quickly go back to the Hamlet representation part, to me and possibly to others, it seems like that would be a difficult task to take on. However, Upper Lake already has set the example. All you have to do is copy and paste in other different hamlets and different townships.
I know Spring Valley, they have a wonderful community center there. They're always active there. They're always having lunch, breakfasts every month. They're already set up in place to have this. I've met Jim Carey, who's, I think, president or manager. I don't know what the title is. Wonderful man. His wife, wonderful lady. You know, I'll be seeing them tonight. So I know that they'll be excited to be a part of that. And I know Lucerne, they've already got flow going on. They've already have their community together because of the water issue. So, you know, you'd be surprised how, look at Blue Lakes. They have theirs going together already because of the business and the Republicans getting together there and trying to get this business thing moving. And so we really have half of them or more, you know, that have their own concerned citizen groups already within these little hamlets. So it wouldn't really take much, you know, to really unite us all together. It would be a very powerful tool.
And it's definitely not recreating the wheel at all.
No, not at all whatsoever. Yeah. So we're at, what, a 3-minute
All right.
wine. I don't know what else we can chat about.
I think I'm just going to give out your contact information one more time. I want to thank all the callers that called in today. Hopefully I won't miss any, but I believe that was Phil Murphy, Bonnie, and Dallas. So thank you very much for your phone calls. We appreciate your input as well as your questions. This has been KPFZ 88.1 FM, Better Know Your Candidate with John Brosnan. You can reach John at www.brosnan, the number 4, district, the number 3.com. Or go to Facebook and look up Brosnan for District 3, or you can call him personally on his cell phone at 707-501-7157. And I know it's going to be a repetition of what we've said multiple times today, but today is the last day to register. It is truly important for you to take part in the process that affects all of our lives. So make sure to go to that website I gave you, brosnanfordistrict3.com, click on the register to vote link.
Let's just get one next Monday, the 26th. There's a meet and greet up in Upper Lake at the Oddfellows Hall, and that starts at 6. It's from 6 to 9 for anybody who's listening who wants to know where we can meet on this other side of District 3. It'll be next week, the 26th, at Upper Lake at the Oddfellows Hall, and I'll be there with some cookies and coffee too as well.
And what's happening tonight between 6 and 9 at the Spring Valley Community Center?
Spring Valley Community Center, a meet and greet, and you're all welcome to come out there as well and participate and ask questions or drill me or whatever it is that people feel comfortable doing, making sure that they have the right candidate for the best representation of the district.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the hour, John.
You're welcome.
Lake
Goes by
County,
fast.
have a great day. Be safe.
All right.
Enjoy.
Thanks again. Thanks, Norm.